Hello, hello. This is the My Artify episode number 3584. Today's date is September 11, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 7:39 p.m. Okay, why am I recording Artifact at this time? I usually record Artifact at 9:30 or 10 p.m. Why are you recording so early? Well, it's because of that. Usually at this time, I was I was actually doing workout. Okay, but today I didn't really went to workout because of rain. Yeah, because of like there is a heavy rainfall is actually happening. Still, little bit of kind of like a rain is still actually happening right now, but not that much. Okay, but just like a half an hour ago, this was like a really intense rain. Everything is kind of like assembly. It feels like flood, but not the flood that you kind of like think it is. It's a very heavy rainfall. Okay, so that's why I didn't really went to the workout. Okay, so basically this thing sitting in front of my desk feels like that like really like stiff. Sorry. So I thought that let's walk at rooftop and kind of like a record the artifact. So yeah. Alright, so should we jump directly to the question? Alright, let's go. Okay, question is wait. Okay. How can digital tool help me to grow my business? Okay. What exactly is this question? Okay, this question is actually associated with the business and startup. Okay. I wanted to establish a business and startup, and I don't really know how do I supposed to do that because I haven't really done any kind of like a graduation. I did not did any kind of like MBAs, nothing really at all. Yeah. Asking this question to myself, I would understand that how do I supposed to do this thing. Okay, yeah. At least I would be aware of that situation and I could figure it out, or maybe yeah. So that's why I'm actually asking this question so that I would understand better. Now, regarding about this question is actually be more focused upon grow your business. Okay, yeah. Specifically, is that what kind of like a some digital tool that we use so that our business can grow and things like that. Okay. So, like basically, is there any kind of like a digital tool or actually exists that grow our business? Yes, that is exist. So basically, is the thing, why does everyone is not actually using it, or why does not? Okay, let me tell you, it's a very vague concept. Okay, vague concept means like that. Digital tool means like that. Key, I'm not kind of like saying just one thing. I'm saying is this thing that key, how do you use multiple digital tool with a multiple combination so that you would kind of like create such a product or service that matter to the so many people, so that they will gonna buy your product or service, so that you will gonna earn so much amount of money. Okay, this is what kind of like things. Now most of the people are actually thinking that key digital tool means like that AI or any kind of like a somebody social media or stuff like that. Well, you have to use it properly. Okay, yeah, kind of like utilizing both the things, multiple combination and stuff like that, then you kind of like a somebody grow your business and things like that. And obviously you have to be use digital tool. So what kind of like a digital tool are actually exist so that I could grow my business? There are a bunch of chat GPT, AI, lot of stuff. Okay, yeah, through AI you can kind of like something generate images. Okay, and you can kind of like share those images through social media and stuff like that. You can market your business, you can do a lot of stuff. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that the conventional way of doing a business almost like a 20 year ago was like really tough, but right now you can like basically any individual person can start their business if that particular person has their business plan idea or things like that. He can execute by himself without kind of like really required so many people, like without just you can basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. I'm trying to compare between the 20 year ago and right now. 20 year ago, or maybe let's just say 20 year ago, it really required a lot of people to run a business. You need a place, you need a money, you need a lot of stuff. Okay, yeah. But right now, today, anyone can establish a business and things like that. Anyone, yeah. It depends on their idea, their thought process, and the way that they execute their stuff. Right? Yeah. So, how does that only one person can do all those things? Because of digital tool, because of the kind of advancement that we have in today's world, specifically social media. Because of the social media, whatever you can make, you can connect with the thousands of people all around the globe. If they like, you can able to sell your product by digitally means like that, like they will kind of place the order, you have to deliver the product and things like that. So it is all happened like a very easy. It just kind of it's easy. It's kind of something easy, but you have to understand entire game plan and things like that. All right. So I already mentioned what kind of tools are available, AI, social media, or stuff and stuff like that. Okay. Now I have to be asked this question to myself that I wanted to run a business, I wanted to grow my business. So what kind of a tool should I supposed to be utilized to grow my business and things like that? Okay. Let me tell you one thing now. Even if I have a tool, even if I can use that tool, it doesn't make me guarantee that kind of something I will succeed in my business. Why? Is because of that it depends upon what is exactly your idea, what is exactly your execution process. Let me tell you one thing now. 20 years ago, there are few people who are kind of selling stuff. But right now, there are so many people actually selling stuff. So that creates competition. And when the competition creates, it's kind of a very difficult to rely on that competition. It's difficult to kind of catch up with the competition because it's very heavy and things like that. So the only business will get succeed when they have really very clever idea. Also, there is a unique. Also, their execution is really great. When they have three things, they can grow your business and things like that. Okay. So it's not rely just on kind of a simply digital tool. Okay. Yeah. Digital tool, yes, anyone can use digital tool. Yes, anyone can use digital tool to grow your business and things like that. But it doesn't make they can earn money, or it doesn't. It is not the thing. Okay, yeah. Growing a business is not just kind of simply I can press this button so I can grow my business. No, it's not happened. You need to put effort. You need to put you need to put everything, dude. You have to think about every possible way that what could go wrong, what could go right, and things like that. Business is not just easy thing. It's just lot of stuff. Whatever. So how do I supposed to kind of the question is that how do I supposed to utilize the kind of a something digital tool? Okay. So my game plan is that not to grow my business. What do you mean you don't want to grow? Well, let me explain what is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. First of all, let me explain what is actually my business. My business or my startup is that I wanted to run an application. Okay. Application kind of something artifact. What is actually this application do is that everyone people wrote their diary every single day. Instead of writing the diary, I change writing into the recording. Means like that people will gonna record their voice and kind of things that is called artifact every single day. Now I already mentioned regarding about what is actually my application, this and that in previous artifact. You can listen it. It's I mentioned multiple times. Okay. But what I'm trying to tell you, focus on this thing that how do I supposed to be kind of utilize those digital tool. Okay. Yeah. I mentioned that I wanted to use kind of a digital tool but kind of like not to grow my business. What do you mean by you don't want to grow your business? I don't want to grow my business means what exactly I want, what is exactly my goal. My goal is that people should supposed to be record the artifact every day. This is kind of like a goal that I have. Now let me tell you one thing regarding about the experience that I have. I am recording artifact for almost like a 10 year, almost like a decade, and it added so much value in my life. The way that I'm thinking right now and the way that I'm doing right now is all because of this artifact. I never really imagined that what if I didn't really start to record artifact, then what would be my life. So it had very much huge impact in my life, this artifact. Another thing, because of this kind of like assembly add so much value in my life, I realized that if I could kind of like assembly share this value to the people, if I could kind of like assembly let other people do the record artifact, they will kind of like assembly improve their life in much more better way. No, it's not guarantee that your life will kind of like assembly grow, okay, because definition of the success is kind of like assembly very vague, very not clear, okay, because like basically I want that I wanted to run a business to kind of like assembly let other people could kind of like record the artifact and things like that, and I consider this is kind of like a success. But other person point of perspective, other person kind of like a thing that having more money means success. It's a very different thing, and that is not wrong. Having more money is success. It's not wrong thing. It's a right thing too. Okay, yeah. Okay, but what exactly is this thing? Why are you? Why do you want? Why do you kind of like a think that you don't want to grow your you don't want to grow? Basically, is this thing, na? My initial goal is that people should supposed to be record artifact, and they have to be record artifact every day. Okay, because let me tell you one thing, na. Consistency is matter, because I realized when I started recording artifact, I was so awkward. It's a very kind of like it's a very like, let me tell you one thing. Artifact, okay, artifact means like that. How do you supposed to record the artifact? Is like that you kind of like start the recording on your phone and you have to record. It's an audio form, okay. Now basically is this thing, na, you have to be talk with yourself, because like no, I'm actually talking right now. There is no one is around me. There is no one is actually here. Nothing really at all. I am kind of like assembly at evening, kind of like assembly at rooftop. Little bit rain, and there is a mobile in front of me. I'm kind of like a recording stuff. That's it. There is no one is actually. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. This is kind of like some ability that I develop inside of me because of kind of like I'm doing this thing every single day. Okay, and what is that ability? That ability to kind of like somebody talk confidently without no one is actually hearing or things like that. Like what I'm trying to tell you, we are actually a bit awkward when we talk with ourselves. Yeah, and that is true. That is definitely true. It's actually happened with me. Like when I started recording artifact, I am so awkward. Like basically it took me 6 months to be consistent. Like basically 6 months, yeah, I was kind of like a recording one, then after that, after 2 days I record this thing, then after that I kind of like it's a like I have kind of like a take multiple gaps and things like that. And this is not good, because if I kind of like say I have to take a gaps, that is really not good. It does not really work that well, because let me tell you one thing, an artifact, when you record the artifact, you actually connect with yourself. I don't know how do I supposed to explain, but it just like, let me tell you one thing, I connect with my divine. I don't know what is actually my divine. I don't know what is actually my God or things like that. But I connect with myself, and that is much more amazing feeling. Like I could express my thoughts and things like that without having any kind of like a something like a kind of like a constraint or things like that. Like I could do that thing. Okay, so this is what I want, and this is what I feel. I want that everyone should supposed to feel like that way. And this is actually happened when the consistency, when everyone is actually recording artifact every single day. So this is my goal, is that when the people are actually recording artifact every single day, this is my goal. Okay, yeah. If I could achieve this thing, then my business will gonna grow. Okay, because if everyone is actually recording artifact every single day, that means like basically one people is actually influence other people actually influence other community. other community influence entire country or things or that, then the growing things actually happen and stuff like that. So this is what I want. If I'm kind of like looking at the only user number, like if I'm gonna focus on just a, like let's just say I have this many user number, I have this many user number, what exactly matter? It just nothing really matter. Okay, they just kind of like sign up my application and they never really use that thing. What is actually add value? Nothing really at all. My purpose is to record them artifact every single time. Okay, so this is what I want. Okay, and this is the goal that I want. And if I achieve this thing, I would consider that yes, it's automatically it grow my business and things like that. Right? Okay. Now, like basically, yes, I have to be use some sort of digital tool to kind of like something grow my business. At the beginning, I have to do that thing. How? Obviously, this kind of like a process or method or whatever it is kind of like unique, and it's a kind of like something no one is actually doing it that, or there is no kind of like some application who's kind of like providing such a services. There is a kind of like one application, there is a name is a Clubhouse, but Clubhouse is very different. Clubhouse means like that it's a kind of like a Zoom meeting, everyone kind of like a gather and kind of like a talk and things like that. Let me tell you what is actually my application. My application is kind of like simply YouTube. Okay, yeah. In the YouTube platform, people actually upload their video, other people watch your video. Okay, yeah. This is what exactly is this thing. People will gonna record the artifact, other people will gonna listen the artifact. Now there is a catch. Catch is that privacy should supposed to be maintained. Means like that people who are recording the artifact, I'm gonna make sure that they will not gonna share their personal detail. By the way, I market my application in such a way that at the beginning they shouldn't supposed to be record. They shouldn't supposed to be kind of like tell their details and things like that. What do you mean by details? Details means like that their name, their surrounding, their situation, or their like where they live or things like that. Why? Imagine you are kind of like writing a diary. Okay, yeah. And what if someone could listen, or what if someone could read your diary? Obviously you feel kind of like devastated, right? But what if I kind of like tear the page of my name and things like that, so other people might gonna listen, but they will not gonna know who is this diary belongs to. So you might not that much afraid of that. Still that other person might gonna find you at somewhere sometimes, but it is kind of like a things that if you erase your name and things like that, it kind of like add multiple values. First, you will kind of like record very confidently. Okay, what exactly it means? Okay, let me tell you one thing. As I mentioned, my application is kind of like simply YouTube. People can record their artifact and other people might gonna listen the artifact, your artifact or things like that. Okay, what if I put the kind of like somebody name? What if I put that my name is Saurabh Bauthare? Okay, right now I'm kind of like utilizing my name because like, yeah, okay. So let's just imagine my name is Saurabh Bauthare, okay, and I create a kind of like a something handle like a Saurabh Bauthare. I'm record the artifact and stuff like that. Now what exactly happened? As I mentioned, my application kind of like a something YouTube. So it's just like that other people kind of like basically some people might know me at my surrounding or things like that. They will see my name, they will click it, and they will gonna listen my artifact. Now in one specific artifact, I mentioned regarding about what I feel regarding about the sex or things or that, or maybe I kind of like share my thought process regarding about the masturbation and things like that, right? And when other people will kind of like simply listen, and when they kind of like tell me, dude, I kind of like listen your artifact regarding about the way that you talk about the masturbation, how ashamed I would feel at that moment. Definitely I would feel so much ashamed, like literally just like, dude, yaar, kyun suna tune? Because let me tell you one thing, na, when we are sharing our thoughts, it's a raw means like that unfiltered, and when there is unfiltered things would share, it's just not good. It's just really not that good. Okay, yeah. And when you attach your name into that raw thoughts, it would be like a really fucked up situation, dude. Okay. Now basically I'm a boy, so basically it not really that much matter. But let me tell you one thing, if there is a kind of like somebody girl who has a name and she kind of like mentioned that when she fall in love with some boys, and she mentioned her name, that boy name, and things, and that and that. And what if in the school or in the college they found their artifact and they would listen, and they mention that I listen your artifact, and then it would be really shameful, na dude, right? So it is really essential to maintain the privacy. Why? Because you are bitterly confident enough that no one is actually listening me, or like basically no one is actually kind of like a know me. They will gonna listen, but they will not gonna know. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing na ki you are sharing your thoughts, but without any hesitation that ki other people might gonna know me or things like that. No, there is no things. Okay, yeah. So basically you will not create the handle by your name or things like that. You have to create your handle by kind of like a random name or username. Okay. Another thing, when you record the artifact at the spur of the moment, you might gonna mention your name or things like that. Don't worry. We have kind of like a something, my application is actually powered by AI, artificial intelligence. So it kind of like a somebody understand what is actually noun, means like that your name, your detail, or things like that. Okay. It catch up, add beep over there, or mute that particular segment, so that entire artifact would be kind of like a something just clean slate, means like that there is no detail, only the story. So basically if there is a girl who's kind of like a sharing their thoughts regarding about when she had first time kiss with someone, boys or things like that, and she's sharing their thoughts and things like that, other person connect with the story, connect with the kind of like a somebody what is actually she been through and things like that. But people might not gonna know who is actually her and things like that. Okay, so first advantage is that the person would kind of like a bitterly confident enough that she could share your thoughts without worrying about her privacy and things like that. One thing. Another thing is that when the people would gonna listen those artifacts, they will understand the reality. Okay, what's the reality? Reality means like that yes, we are living in the world, and yes, we actually seen the people and things like that, but we don't know what is actually inside their head and things like that. Like basically is this thing now, have you ever wondered that some people look so dashing, so amazing, so great, they have 6 apps and things like that, but the way that they talk, it's kind of like somebody very like a gaurani, just like gaurani, I don't know how to say it. It's a kind of like a things that they look really dashing from visual point of perspective. It was like top notch, but their thinking and their thought process is just like so beyond the time. It was like, yeah, and you actually experience this thing. Okay, and this is what kind of like a things means like that. Now we actually connect with humans without any visual context or things like that. So we actually understand that what is actually people thinks, what is actually is this thing, what is actually reality and stuff like that. And we actually understand the world is much more in better way. Okay, yeah. Because let me tell you one thing, now whatever the information that we have is filtered information. Filtered means like that they actually think, they actually do, it's a lot of things like you have actually a lot of information regarding about social media and things and that, but it's a very filtered. Okay, yeah. Artifact is a complete raw. There is no script, there is nothing, whatever like basically the stuff that you are actually hearing, I'm not reading any script. I'm kind of like a whatever stuff inside of my head, I'm just releasing it. Okay, so basically is this thing na ki it would understand the reality, and we understand people much more better way. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like my privacy is really matter to me. Okay, yeah. Now what kind of like basically I just kind of like mentioned the entire thing, but I didn't really talk about the kind of like some digital tool to kind of like something improve my business. Okay, yeah. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna try to talk about kind of like a early days of my business and things like that. By the way, early days, it's very like a very kind of like a somebody very kind of like a not good. What do you mean? Because let me tell you one thing, as I mentioned, this is artifact. I kind of like a mention all those good stuff. Okay, yeah, but it will not gonna implement at from the day one. Why? Because as I mentioned, it's a very unique. So when there is an idea is unique, people are really difficult to digest. Okay, people are kind of like a take time to digest or things like that. Like basically, if I'm gonna say this is a kind of like a some dish, this is a kind of like a some cuisine that I make, which is really unique from every possible way. Have you ever eat that thing? No, you are kind of like a bit really worried about that. Yeah, this dish is really good and really great from every possible way, but you might gonna feel really hesitate. Like basically, just say if I went to China and and there is a kind of like I went to restaurant and they actually kind of like a serve me a kind of like a something dish which is kind of like a look like a scorpion. Would you able to eat that scorpion? By the way, I'm non-vegetarian. I could eat. Okay, yeah, but I would not eat that thing because like basically they mentioned this scorpion is look taste really good and things and that I would not gonna eat that thing. Definitely not. I'm fucking really scared for that thing. That key this is actually in front of my table and I feel really scared. Right? So I am, even if other people says that think this is really good and things like that, I might not gonna eat that thing. And this is what it is. When the idea is really unique, that means it kind of like a very difficult to digest. That means what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Early days of my business would be really tough. Tough means like that I'm actually expecting that key after I launch my business or things like that, for a 5 year I might not gonna earn any kind of like a single money or anything, nothing really at all. Yeah, I just have to kind of like a somebody just run the business and things like that and not earning any kind of like a somebody money. Yeah, I might get little bit funding from people and things like that, but earning money is actually come from the user. Means like that user should supposed to be record artifact every single day, then 1 people add, 2 people add, 3 people add. So yeah, at the beginning it might be very difficult. So yeah, so at that particular period of time I am actually use little bit of marketing strategy. Okay, yeah, by the way, I mentioned my marketing strategy regarding about how we're supposed to do this thing in previous artifact episode, but still I'm gonna mention. Okay, I'm gonna kind of like a things in short. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so what is actually my marketing strategy? My marketing strategy is that I would kind of like a simply went to such a college, or I found a kind of like at least 20 women, 20 girls actually, from the age range of 20 to 25. Okay, yeah, these are kind of like age range. Okay, yeah, women. Now I would kind of like give them 20 questions and also give them kind of like 1,000 or 2,000, whatever it is, money. Okay, yeah. There is only one thing that I want is that you have to open my application, sign up and things like that. Okay, yeah. This is a kind of like a question and you have to give the answer very honestly. Okay, yeah. By the way, these questions are kind of like something associated with the kind of like something love related. Means like that how do you feel when you fall in love with someone else or things or that. Also kind of like something regarding about the investment or things like that. Okay, yeah. And they would kind of like record their thoughts. What exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. By the way, at the beginning, they might kind of like hesitate to do those things. So I would kind of like help them regarding about you shouldn't supposed to be worried. You have to be record and things like that. I would be there with them and they would kind of like things. Maybe I would kind of like provide the script because they might kind of like really not confident enough. Okay, yeah. So like basically this is kind of like a things that I would kind of like simply do the kind of like a things like basically at least like a fake artifact. I'm actually creating a fake artifact. Okay, yeah, fake artifact. It's not fake artifact, by the way. Okay, but I don't know. Like basically, it just says a fake artifact. Okay, I'm gonna create at least like a 400 fake artifact. 400, where it came from? Well, basically, if the one person is a one woman is actually recording artifact for one question. So if there is say 20 questions, so 20 artifact, and 20 into 20, that means 400 artifact. So yeah, 20, if 20 questions into 20 women, so 400. Okay, so basically I will get 400 fake artifact. Okay, by the way, yeah, I'm gonna kind of like do this thing as a fake artifact probably, because at the beginning I have to do this thing. Why? First of all, why women? I'm living in India. My application will gonna launch in India. Most of the people in India are male user, and male user are attracted to a female user. So yeah, so I have to be kind of like those fake artifact, like this is very harsh word, dude. I don't want to make it as a fake artifact. Like basically all these emotions and things, those are really legit, but I'm actually kind of like a let them treat them properly. Like basically is this thing na ki at the beginning, if I'm gonna give the question and you have to give the answer, they would kind of like record the artifact in kind of like something very in short way. Let's just say there is a question that ki, how do you feel when you first time you had you had a kiss with a boy, and that particular woman will gonna smile. She kind of like a shy, and she will gonna say, I feel good. That's it. End of the artifact. Dude, this is 2 seconds of the artifact is not. I'm kind of like when that particular woman will kind of like share the thoughts, that means she will gonna share the entire story, what is actually happening, what she's actually inside her mind, who is that particular boy. No, don't mention the name of the boy, but kind of like somebody that the visual experience, how this look and things. Also mention that ki you were actually talking from last 2 weeks and things like that and stuff like that. Also mention that ki we are actually chatting on WhatsApp and things like that, and then we actually had a moment and we actually kissed and things like that. Okay, so when we like basically I'm gonna create that kind of like a simply story gesture, that ki you have to express entire thing regarding about how you went to this thing, at least like a 20-30 minute of this particular one incident with that happening. So if this thing happened, and basically at the beginning those women might not gonna confident, so that's why I have to kind of like somebody treat them, those women, that how do you supposed to do this thing. So yeah, like a 20, like a 400 fake artifact. So what is actually implement, what is actually add value? Okay, so what exactly is this thing? If I create the 400 fake artifact, okay, let's just say fake artifact. Okay, let's just say fake artifact. If I kind of like a say that ki those are kind of like a 400 fake artifact, okay, will actually listen by the multiple male user. Okay, yeah. Now because of like let me tell you one thing. Now let's just say 400 artifact will kind of like a listen by, let's just say 4,000 male user. Okay, let's just say 4,000. Okay, 200 might be female, but let's say 4,000 male user. So in this 4,000 of male user, they also thinks that ki dude, I also went through similar experience, and because of this application is actually providing this privacy and things like that, why not I share my experience, so that one person might gonna record artifact. Okay, so probably is this thing, if like a 4,000 male user listen those 400 artifact, and they decide at least like a 4,000 out of, let's just say 40 people, 40 male user decided to record the artifact, those are 40 are real person, and they will kind of like assembly my first user. Those people are my first user. Okay, so basically is this thing that, and obviously those kind of like a 40 people might not be consistent. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna market my kind of like assembly application in such a way that it will gonna add value, but just be a consistent, just be a kind of like assembly record. Don't expect it's really good. No, just mention. Okay, just be consistent, just be every single day, and it will gonna definitely gonna add value. So if the 40 people are kind of like assembly recording artifact, they might gonna record something right or wrong. They might gonna add even 10 people. So let's just say I have 50 user, and then 50 to 60 or maybe 70, let's just say 100. So exponential rate will happen really slow, but these are kind of like a real user, means like that those users are trying to kind of like I'm trying to that ki those people are supposed to be record the artifact every single day and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So this is a kind of like a beginning stories actually happen and things like that, and from that thing the female user is also going to record the things and stuff like that. By the way, the rate of number of user is in my application will going to happen slow. Okay, yeah, means like that 10, then 20, then 100, maybe 200, or maybe 300, maybe 1,000. Let's just say that ki for the 1,000 user it took me like a year to collect 1,000 user. Yeah. Yeah, but when this thing actually happened, then yeah, this is kind of like a thing, like I have to be accept this thing that this will actually happen. So I have to be aware of that situation first of all. Now another thing, okay, yeah, how do I supposed to improve? Like basically I already mentioned regarding about my marketing strategy. Okay, yeah. Also I kind of like a market my application through my social media. I run social media channel. I am kind of like some graphic designing and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. I right now I have almost like a 13,000 follower in Instagram platform. In YouTube I have 1,500 subscriber. Not really that much, but in the future I might have maybe couple of thousand follower or things like that, so that I would kind of like simply share my application or share my kind of like thoughts regarding about what is actually existing and that and that. Okay, yeah. So this is the way that I could kind of like simply utilize in this marketing. I would kind of like utilize multiple AI tools, image generation or things like that, so that yeah. But this is it. Obviously when I have so many of people, so many user actually record, so many user are actually kind of like in my application and they are kind of like utilizing my application, things like that, then I'm gonna use kind of like assembly, like basically I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna use all the digital tool and things like that. At the moment there is only two tools that I'm thinking right now. Marketing. Okay, yeah, because in digital era you can market your product in really right way. Like you can target your audience, like specifically you can target the audience. Okay, yeah, you can utilize the Facebook ad or kind of like some Instagram or YouTube ad, so that your advertisement is actually target specific kind of like some age range of people or things like that. So this is what I would gonna do. Okay, yeah. Also another thing. Okay, yeah. I think that na ki as a kind of like simply as any kind of like a company or any kind of like a stuff. Okay, like basically I'm gonna ask a question. Okay, if I'm gonna say who is the founder of Facebook, obviously you can imagine only one face in your head, Mark Zuckerberg. Why? Because of that ki the person who actually invented that particular thing is kind of like a attached, and basically as a kind of like a somebody CEO or as a founder is also kind of like a somebody have a kind of like a value. Okay, yeah, like a basically as a kind of like a marketing value. Okay, yeah. So if I'm gonna say that ki if I kind of like a create this artifact or things like that, so probably I would have kind of like a some little bit kind of like a somebody is this thing that ki I would kind of like basically is this thing na ki let's just say that ki I make this application and things like that. Other people found this application and they might gonna kind of like say that ki dude, this application is actually kind of like a claiming a lot of stuff that it will gonna improve your thoughts and things and that and that. Does it actually happen? Let's just kind of like a figure it out. Let's just who is the CEO and does that person actually did this thing or not? Now that particular person went through my all the YouTube channel like and what I went through. Also they will kind of like look at my artifact that like basically I kind of like uploaded thousands of artifacts and things like that. So basically they will gonna consider yeah it's a very legit and that particular person is actually improve their thought process and things like that by the utilizing this method. So somewhat kind of like a things that key I can also kind of like simply market my application to the way that I do right now, like a kind of like a simply recording artifact and things and that and right. But still it's a lot of things. Okay, yeah, as I mentioned, success is not depend upon the luck or anything. It depends on the effort that you put in. And yeah, I am kind of like a somebody, I'm actually bitterly convinced that I'm gonna put a lot of effort. But let me tell you one thing, you are not the only one who's actually putting the effort. Everyone is actually putting the effort. Everyone wants to get succeed and they are also kind of like putting a lot of hard work. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing that ki how do you supposed to kind of like assembly, how do you supposed to say that ki your effort is actually much more better than other efforts so you will get success? It's not that. It depends on multiple things and stuff like that. All right, so this is a kind of like a digital tool that I use to grow my company or grow my startup. All right, this is it. Thank you.